Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Carrie Wallace. I've been a travel advisor and agency owner for 20 plus years now, and I'm also the founder of FamGuru. So today I'm going to take you through a demonstration of FamGuru for travel suppliers. So you can see what FamGuru is, see how it works, understand how it helps advisors traveling with you. So for example, before the trip, how they can be better prepared for when they join your trip, during the trip, how they can better capture and organize their learnings, and after the trip, how it sets them up for success so they can sell and market your products and destinations like never before. FamGuru's technology makes the planning and the execution of the entire fam trip easier for you, and we'll show you how that happens as well. So just quickly, why is this important? So the fam trip is a marketing program, right? FAM can be a group trip. It can be a self-directed trip by an advisor who's coming to your property or destination by themselves. It can be a single lunch and a site inspection, whether it's a wedding planner, a press trip, advisors themselves, influencers. There's lots of different formats. So it's important to think about it, not just the one or two group trips or however many you do a year, but it's a bigger thing than that. Anytime people have a chance to experience your property, your destination firsthand and need to remember something about it, that's a fam trip. And so, given that it's a marketing program, all of us are investing our time and our money to make it successful. And so, we need to maximize this experience to bring in the best return on investment of that time and money that we're all spending. We're all aligned in this. We all want to sell more travel. And that's what FamGuru is designed to do, help us all sell more travel. So, the agenda for today, we'll be working basically on the FamGuru website. We're not going to be looking at the app today. The app is something that you would be using on the trip. Advisors might be using it for mobility purposes. The good thing about the app and the website is they're basically almost 100% interchangeable. And so I will be showing you how that, what features are available on one and how they're available on the other as well. So we'll be talking first of all about how to set up a fam trip within FamGuru. Next, we'll be talking about different elements of automation, the ways you can save time and cut down on email during the planning process with the advisors, and also show you along the way how you can better engage with your advisors before, during, and after the trip. Finally, we'll show you how an advisor uses FamGuru, again, using the website to illustrate that, how they organize their photos and can do their reviews for future reference. Let us get started. And so what you're seeing right now is where you would log into FamGuru Online. So web.famguru.app/sign in. And you can either sign in if you have a login already, or you can sign up. Very easy. I'm just going to sign into my account. So what you're seeing is the overall homepage of FamGuru. I'm going to walk you through the different components of it, just so you have a sense for the layout, and then some other things and how you navigate through and actually use this thing. So what we're seeing right now is where we can find our overall trips. So an active trip is anything that's going on right now or further in the future. And then we have all of our past trips so that you can refer back to it as needed. Also over here, we have the ability to create a new trip. We'll talk about that momentarily. Then we have notifications that may be coming in about any one of your trips. And your organization. We won't go too much into organizations today, but you will have an organization that all of your team members can belong to. What I would really like to do overall to start though is take a look at the profile in the upper right-hand corner. You see account. I'm going to show you this. Every user within FamGuru has an account, and whether you're a supplier or an advisor, you have an account that looks more or less like this. It's really important to fill this in. What comes with that? Name, my physical location, contact information, email, social handles, what organization you're with, and emergency contact information. All of that information is important to a participant in a FAM, whether you're the advisor who is joining a supplier or the supplier itself who is actually traveling on the trip. Further, we ask people to put their professional information. So from the standpoint of an advisor, brief description about you and your business, awards and recognition, business started, destinations you want to know better so that we can so you can know more about this advisor, destinations they sell most often, as well as their specialization. Finally, dietary restrictions. When you're on a fam trip, everybody needs to know what you eat and what you will not eat. So here we have a dietary section. No requirements, great. Or if you have several requirements or want to add additional notes, you can do that here. So very important to fill out your profile, to encourage your advisors on your trip to fill out the profile. We're going to teach you a lot today, but should you ever have another need for help, whether you're in the website or on the app, look for the question mark icon. You'll have access to either additional information, video content to help you understand that page better, or a way to contact us directly at FamGuru should there be a question that is not already answered. So, all right, so we'll start then by showing you how to create a trip. Very simple, click. So what we have here is create a new trip screen. Very basic, very easy to set up. Here you're going to be adding a hero image. That becomes the theme of the fam trip, both today and in the future. This is the thumbnail that will appear on the app, on the website, and on other documents. You can either browse or browse your own image, or we have some placeholders here. You want to give your fam trip a name. You'll select which organization it's a part of. You may be part of a number of organizations. Start date, end date, and then trip invitation text. So when you're inviting an advisor, they are going to receive an email from FamGuru asking them to join the platform, download for free. And this text that you see here is going to be part of that invitation. So you might say, hey, we're so glad you're coming with us. Please download FamGuru so that we can have you as part of the trip and via FamGuru as well. Next is the trip description. So these are the 3, maybe 4 sentences that you want the advisors to know about the trip, something that they can resonate with today or 2 years from now when they're looking back and trying to remember everything that was part of that trip. So once you have all of that, you can simply create the trip. We won't actually do that today, but that starts you off in FamGuru. Super easy. I'm just going to cancel for now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an actual trip that's already created, that's already built out for the purposes of being efficient. I'm going to go to a past trip. So here are all my past trips. I am going to go to this one, Weekend in Bermuda. And what you'll see here is the trip's homepage. Here is my hero image that I've uploaded previously. Here are my dates. Here's my title. And I have several different pieces of information here. What we have are, first of all, I'll explain this. If you want to edit the trip information, you use the pencil icon here, and that takes us back to this screen like we've seen before. Also, we have the ability here to delete a trip, to duplicate a trip. So if you're doing a similar trip over and over again, you can duplicate it easily. You can also export a trip report here. So we'll talk about this more with respect to when we're looking at how the advisor uses FamGuru. But once the data and the reviews and the photos are in there, we can automate a trip report. Next, a bit more overview of this page. We have a snapshot of the participants. You can go in and see the same detail see more detail by clicking View All. Next, just a bit more about this page. We have a snapshot of who are the advisors on the trip. It's the same as we would have over here under participants. If you have any notifications about the trip, you'll see them here. And next activities. So if you're actually on the trip, you'll see what's up for today from the itinerary. I'll start actually with the itinerary. So if we go over here to the left, let's take a look. So what we have is the itinerary structure. It's very easy to set up. You have either hotel stay, you would have a hotel site inspection, you have the ability to add a restaurant, or anything else, whether that's tour, yoga on the beach, picnic lunch, whatever it is, a transfer, that allows you to add that to the itinerary. Now, what's interesting about the itinerary here is you're creating a structure for the advisor. Everything that you put in here, the advisor can ultimately review, organize their photos and notes, and have that forever in their archive. So I'm going to talk a bit about the different elements of the itinerary. This one, flight from Charlotte to Bermuda, is another element. Also, Bermuda general notes. When I create itineraries, I like to have a section where they can actually review something about the destination Or if you're visiting multiple cities, it can be one of these for each city the day you arrive. And just so you can see, it's very easy to set up. If you were to edit it, dates, hour, that helps order the itinerary overall, any descriptions you want to provide, any website information, very simple to put together. And again, you're creating the structure for the advisor. There doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of information up front here when you're putting this together. Next, let's talk about the structure of a hotel. It's a little bit different. You'll see that there are maps and address and preloaded photos. This comes in via Google Maps. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Simple. Let's just take an example. We're going to add a hotel stay, for example. And let's say we're going to do the Hilton Chicago. What this does is it searches in Google Maps to find the hotel that you're looking for, or the restaurant or whatever it is. In Hilton Chicago, I'm going to select. There's my map. It pulls right in. There's my website, my check-in date, my checkout date, the time you're arriving at the hotel with the advisors, when you're checking out. And then you have the ability to add any contacts, whether that's the GM or the director of sales and marketing or the concierge or anyone that you would like the advisors to have access to now and in the future. Because what we're doing right now is you're creating this itinerary, is you're creating what I call the professional portion of your advisor archive. We're putting in a lot of information so that the advisors always have it in one place. Before the trip, during the trip, after the trip. While they're on the trip, they're creating the advisor portion of the archive. So at the end of it all, there's this amazing comprehensive archive that the advisor can refer to immediately. It can refer to it 6 months from now, 5 years from now. The description, put your best foot forward as a hotelier. What are the great things that you want to share about this hotel? And then website and phone number. You can also add any other professional images you'd like in advance. This is a great way to give the advisors some great images up front. They can warm up their social media audience from here, use those photos to get their clients excited about what they're about to do. Or any files. This could be your sustainability program. It could be a restaurant menu. It could be your activities list. Whatever it is, you're able to add it here under files. And then you would finish it up. You just review it. We're not actually going to confirm it, but you get the idea. Super simple to add all of this. With anything in the itinerary, you have the ability to duplicate this. So let's say you have breakfast at leisure 4 days in a row. Duplicate this. You can duplicate an element of the itinerary. You can duplicate the entire itinerary. And we now just added the library function. So if this is something you want to save for a future trip, add it to the library. Very easy. When you're working through this when you're building something from scratch, you can go to your library, you can import it into the itinerary and have that information at your fingertips again and again. Next, I want to talk a little bit about what this looks like. You might have a very, very busy itinerary. This could be a lot of things to input and create a structure for, right? And so a lot of times we hear, oh my gosh, that's too much information for my people to handle. Well, the good news is with the library, you really only have to do the vast majority of this once, or we can help you. We have people that know the platform and can help you put your itinerary in on a highly affordable basis. So don't feel that you have to give this to somebody on your team. It's not how am I going to do this, but we have a who that can help you do this if you're not able to do it on your own. So please ask me about that after we're done today. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the participants tab. So we've got the itinerary together. We have now to think about who are we inviting to this trip. What I would suggest is, because everybody has a different trip invitation process. Some people do a Wetu.com lovely itinerary to show to people. Other people just send an email. Others have a PowerPoint that they PDF. What I suggest you do is you curate your list of advisors so you know who you're coming, and then invite them into the FamGuru platform. And how does one do that? Invite participants. Very easy. Add their email address here. Once you click add, you can choose them as an advisor, as an admin. So that could be anyone on your team that needs visibility to what's going on in the trip and would also have editing rights. Or as a viewer, somebody who just needs to see what's going on. And so you can do that here. Also on this page, we have a snapshot of what's going on with our group of advisors that we've invited. And I will say, once an advisor is invited, they will have the ability to see the itinerary. So it's usually a good idea to have the itinerary built. Otherwise, the advisors will come to FamGuru and say, where's the itinerary? If you're in the middle of working on it and you want to just, you want to take it offline while you're working, you can also do that. That will hide it from the advisors. You can put it back in published status. However, going back to participants, who has accepted my invitation? Who has already confirmed? Who is still pending? What is their role? And what about this documents thing? Well, you know, when you're planning a trip, you need information from these people. And that's oftentimes a lot of emails, back and forth, a lot of chasing, and very frustrating at times. So we have the ability in FamGuru to set up trip requirements. So let me show you how that works. Under requirements, you can create any kind of a requirement. It could be a passport copy, it could be your flights, it could be the advisor flights, it could be a waiver document, whatever it is you need from the participant, you can ask for it here. Male versus female therapist for a spa treatment. Very easy to do here. So what happens when you do that, FamGuru sends an email to the advisor that's already part of the trip, and it sends a notification through the app, hey, we need your passport copy. So the advisor knows that they have something they have to do. They can either go into the app or they can come here on the website. They can click on passport copy. Oh, there's Carrie. She has not submitted her passport copy. What would I do? You know, if she wanted to do that, she would just go to her name. She would add info and either upload a file or just type it in, whatever you think, whatever you need from them. And advisors also have the ability to delete their personal information once the trip ends, because do you really need their passport information after the fact? Probably not. So it's a nice way to take all of that off of email, because we advisors are the worst when it comes to our own travel. I will also say that as you approach the deadline of a particular requirement, FamGuru automatically pings the advisor, hey, 1 week to go, hey, 3 days to go, so on and so forth. So it cuts down on the chasing that you have to do. Now, ultimately, if they don't provide it, you have to decide, are they still serious about the trip or not? And you will have to probably be in touch at some point. Okay, going back to participants. We also have the ability here, that's a lot of data that we're collecting, right? So once we have all of the advisors in and they've submitted their information and they've done their profiles, let us export a list of all the advisors' data so that we can share that with anybody else on our trip, hoteliers, DMCs, whatnot, who need to see this. So we can export a list here, and that goes into an Excel file. Well, we're all building Excel files probably to a certain extent anyway, so we're getting you started here. And so what does that do? It compiles every participant. This is a very simple version. And their name, their email, their city, their phone, their dietaries, like we had in the profile, their agency, emergency contacts. And I will say, and you can merge that with anything that you're working on. I will say that we're working on this to be more flexible, to be able to give you a choice of different columns that you might want to include, as well as bring in flights. So that is on our radar screen and something that we'll be working on soon. Now, that's just a little bit about the participants list, but I think it's also important to look at a given participant. So we'll look at me, because my profile is completely filled out. So here we have a snapshot of what's going on with Carrie. And these are the documents and my status with them. I will revisit reviews in a moment. My personal details. Wow, this is what comes over from the profile when a person accepts your trip. And you have access to that. And a bit of professional background and the dietaries, right? Now, what we can do with this is sometimes you want to have something back of house, or you want to brief the general manager who's going to have dinner with the group tomorrow. Let's export a PDF dossier on this advisor and all of their details. Here we have the dossier. We have a photo, we have the dates of the trip, the details, the professional details, and the dietaries. So this is something that you can compile and give to back of house in a hotel or to a restaurant, or whoever needs to see this, other people from your group, your company that are attending the FAM as well. The other thing I want to share with you here is reviews. So as advisors are doing what are known as the public reviews, you as the organizer get to see this. Let's take a look at what that is. So here's my review of the hotel we stayed in. here's my review of the taxi services in Bermuda. Anything that's on the itinerary can be reviewed in a public fashion. And this is what I said about it. So you can see who is engaging, what they're saying, and if you have to do any education or correction along the way, you can do that. But this is a very powerful way to see what advisors are saying. We've also just created the capability to take all of the advisors' public reviews and compile them into a document that you can share with your on-the-ground team so they can see the constructive feedback that the advisor has, the kinds of things that they enjoyed in particular. It's also a nice thing to share with the entire group of participants. This is public information. It can be shared with your group so that everybody gets to see what everybody else has said, such that there's a greater degree of knowledge and perspective on the trip that they just took, solidifying the information and the experiences that they've had together. I'm sure there will be questions, and I'm looking forward to answering those after this presentation. Now that we've taken a look at the itinerary and participants, I'm going to look at the other things on this side. First of all, this is the shared photo gallery. So I'm actually on a mission to replace the WhatsApp group. It doesn't really work when you're traveling to have two platforms. And I also think that WhatsApp is maybe not the best thing long-term in terms of having an archive. So what we're seeing here in the gallery are the group's photos. This will live with the advisor's archive, again, through the trip, after the trip, 5 years from now, whenever they want to refer back to them. You have, as anybody who's working in here can upload their own image if they've got it saved on their computer. In the app, they can do that off of their camera roll, or they can take a photo from there. After the trip, if you want to use these images for your marketing purposes, you can tick the boxes for which ones you'd like, and you can download them and use them as you will. Again, these are shared photos. What I love about this too is you can preload images here. And again, this allows the advisor to warm up their social media audiences. Also, during the trip, when the advisor is doing their sundowner shot or their group selfie or their best hotel photos or beautiful destination shots, you can see who's done that, and they have the ability also to add a description. Important to note is that any photo that you see in FamGuru anywhere could be shared on social media from within the app. So whether you want to send it in an email, you want to text it to someone, you want to put it on Facebook or Instagram, totally possible to do via the FamGuru app. Also, there are general trip files. So maybe you have a packing list. Maybe you have visa requirements or a document that they need to fill out or have reference to. So here's an example. In Bermuda, I put in the different temperatures and the activities that are appropriate to different kinds of times of the year so that when they're selling to their clients, they have this information here to use. So anything that you might like to see here. You saw how on a given hotel or on a given element of the itinerary, you can upload photos and contacts and whatnot. This is more for the general trip purposes itself. We've talked about requirements. A new feature we have is chat. So FamGuru messaging, essentially. So while you're on the trip, and this speaks to the WhatsApp group, replacing WhatsApp again, is you have the ability, or anybody in the trip has the ability to message the whole group. And this is where you would do the group message. Or if you want to go one-on-one, you would go over here and you can select that advisor to do your message to. Notifications, we've already talked about a little bit. I'm also going to talk a little bit about broadcast. This was the precursor to the chat. And if you want to just do a one-way broadcast, you don't really want to start a whole chat chain going on right now. You just want to say, okay, bags in the lobby at 8:15, we're leaving at 8:30. You can do that here. The advisors get an email and they get a notification on their app and they are advised. This is a pretty good overview of what you can do as a travel supplier to set this up. Like to do also is share now the advisor point of view and what that looks like. So again, oftentimes on the trip, they'd be using their app, but a lot of people also want to do this on the web. And since we're already in the web, I'd like to show you what the advisor can do themselves within FamGuru. So their page, their participation looks almost exactly like this. They can go into the itinerary as well. They may not see the ability to duplicate or to edit. They will not if they're an advisor. However, they can go into this document right here and they can add their insights. So let's see what this looks like. And the structure on the app is very much the same. If you go into the app, you'll recognize this immediately. So viewing the insights, what does that entail. So when you're starting an insight, you have the ability to rate your experience, to add photos, and to add comments. And every aspect of this has the ability to do so publicly and privately. Advisors told us they need a place for their private notes because they may not want to share everything. What I recommend as a host of your trip is that you require advisors to do their public notes. That way you can see them in the participant section, and that gives you the feedback that you want from the trip. So that's one way to do it in a very basic booking. What I show you as well on itinerary under a particular hotel, because that's a little deeper. We all want to engage more deeply with the hotels. That's where a lot of advisor knowledge gets shared with their clients. So let's go to the insights for a hotel. And you'll notice a very similar structure here, but there's more to it. So we have the notes section, public, once again, and private. You can add your photos, just like we talked about before. There's also a contact section. So let's say you added contacts when you created the itinerary and they met some other people, they can add a contact here. So you cover all bases. And that's all under the general section. Next, it's the nitty-gritty of the trip. And that's all considered a private section. It's a lot more information than most people want to see or most people want to share. So let's talk about this on a point-by-point basis. The rooms. As an advisor, this was one of my greatest pain points. I mean, I'm taking hundreds of photos as I'm going along, taking video. And what do I do with all that 6 months from now when I can't remember what hotel that was? So I have the ability here to provide general room comments, to upload my photos here within a given room type. So let's look at this. This is the Ocean View 2 Queens. Those are all my photos from the actual Ocean View 2 Queen. There's its number. Does it connect? What's the view? What are my comments? All of those things that advisors need to know about a room type that they want to share with their clients. And by the way, hey, Mr. Client, 6 months from now, that's what that room you're going to book looks like. That's what I saw. Very, very powerful stuff for an advisor. I will say that we are in the process of working on video as well. We know how important video is for a fan trip, especially as advisors often walk through a room and take a video in the process. That's coming this fall of 2024. So please be on the lookout for that. We understand that's really quite critical to what we do. All right, food and beverage, all the different outlets. You can add a different outlet. So there's photos of the outlet, my comments about the outlet. Also wellness, same thing. Gym, spa, tennis courts, golf, whatever it is, you can add it here. And then one of my other favorite areas is common areas. So as an advisor, this was always really important to me because I would forget to go see stuff. So let's see, adding a common area, this gives you the ability to remember, oh, what did I not see? Oh, I'm a family travel specialist, but I haven't seen the kids club. Let me remember to do that. Ask my host to see that. Or what did the beach look like? Because that's an important thing that clients want to know about. Well, photos are important there. So this helps me as an advisor better engage with the property that I'm seeing so that I have that insight, so that I have that capability to convey that information and share it with my clients after I return. So now you have a sense of what the advisor can do within FamGuru in terms of taking their notes, organizing their photos. So, but now let's say you have all of this great information. What do you do with it? How do you actually share that with people? I'm going to show you how that's done. So first of all, let's go back to trip details, our trip homepage, if you will. And we talked earlier about the export trip report. So an advisor will have this option too, and it will take all of their public and private information along with all the information you have provided and put it into a trip report that can be shared with their agency colleagues or can be shared with the clients. And the idea here is sharing is super important from a standpoint of ROI, right? Because if we can take one advisor on one trip and we can 100x your exposure through that one advisor, that's valuable. And advisors need to do a report. This isn't, they don't have the 8 to 12 hours to do this on their own. So let's see what happens when we click this button. Wonderful. So what we see here is the overall itinerary, basically itinerary at a glance. Again, there's our hero image, our dates, our title. I will mention that we are still working on this. We will be putting this in editable format too. So you want to copy and paste things out. Terrific, totally possible. And you'll start to see the structure that's set up through the itinerary. So we didn't put any information in here ourselves to begin with. This will eventually be suppressed as we clean up this report and make it shorter and tighter. And so there's my commentary on the flight. Didn't say much. So let's go down to a place where we put in a little bit more information. I did a section with the Bermuda General Notes. I actually uploaded a series of photos. I did a lot of typing about my general impressions of Bermuda. I will say that I used on my app, I used the ability to do dictation. So one could type all of this up on the computer where it's a little easier. One can type on the small screen, or you can use dictation, whatever is easiest for you. Not everybody is quite so verbose as I am. Also, I want to talk about the hotel itself. We saw this before. And here's what was uploaded by my host in advance. So you can start to see the importance of uploading the information in advance so that the advisor has this here. It forms part of a good report. And here are my general details, my general photos about the resort itself, the public notes, my private notes, and then we go down to we go down to the rooms. So guess what? Here is my ocean view to Queens, and those are my photos. And this is what I can share with my clients, and this is what I can share with my colleagues, and all of my impressions are here. I will say we're making this more flexible. So if you just want to share a hotel, or you just want to share one destination out of a multi-destination trip, that will be possible. But the good news is we're saving people a lot of time. We're allowing that advisor to give the agency a report, and the agencies are also very happy because their advisors are sharing their knowledge and basically 10xing, 100xing the exposure that you have with the advisor. That's most of what I wanted to share with respect to how the advisors use FamGuru. A couple things about what we're doing in the future. What is there to look forward to? I mean, there's so much that I want to be able to do with FamGuru and so many places that we can take this. From a future standpoint, we'll be doing FamGuru for agencies. So basically compiling all of the information that advisors from a given agency are reviewing and sharing so that somebody from the agency can use an AI chatbot to go in and mine that information and find the information that they need to learn more quickly, which gains you more experience and helps the agency with education. Super valuable, that will be. Also, up to this point, we've been focused very much on before the trip and during the trip, getting it all set up, how you compile that information and organize it while you're traveling. We're also going to be focusing on after the trip. So the ability to one day hopefully measure our ROI. And that's a very tough nut to crack, but we're going to be working on it. I also want to mention that you can use the chat function. So 3 months from now, it's our 3-month famiversary. This is what's new with the property. Here's a new photo gallery of the refresh that we just did so you can have it. So you have an ability to engage with your advisors after the trip more easily. Also, the ability to search for advisors. So we have right now about 4,000 advisor profiles advisors using the app right now. And we want you to be able to, when you're creating a trip, to see who might be a great fit for your particular trip, because sometimes half the battle is getting the right people on the right trip at the right time. So we want to give you the ability to search the advisor profile, see who you don't know, and make invitations if it looks interesting, or at least start to talk to that advisor. So those are some of the things we see in the future. Essentially what we're doing here is being able to collect a lot of information, create a beautiful archive that they can refer to, they can use as a sales tool, they can turbocharge their effectiveness and be that hero to their clients, and then also engage with you so that they're the brand ambassador of your product and of your destination. So that is what we're trying to do, and really make this marketing program we call FamTrip much, much more effective than it is today. We've gone over a lot of information, there's probably a lot of questions. And so now that you know more about FamGuru, I'd love to have the opportunity to discuss your particular situation and your FAMs and your questions. Share more about our subscription plans that may work best for you. So you can reach me and we can have a follow-up conversation via my Calendly link here. We'd love for you to give FamGuru a try. It's free to sign up. So you can either do so at this webpage, like we talked about before, or if you'd like to see what it looks like via the app version. Again, you can set up all of the trip on an app. I highly recommend you do it on the website, but it's good to have both platforms so you can see how things look on both sides from the advisor perspective, especially. And then ultimately, questions. info@famguru.app, that comes right into my inbox. I'd be delighted to help you with something that, just a quick question or a greater more involved question, we're here to help. So please know we're doing lots of cool things. We're improving every day. And thank you. I truly look forward to hearing your feedback and your comments and having you and your teams give FamGuru a try.